A cold joke changed 2 lives in less than 5 seconds. I laughed as I looked at the woman standing in front of my auto shop holding a worn resume in one hand and a faded canvas bag in the other. Without thinking, I smiled and made the kind of sarcastic remark mechanics often throw around to lighten the mood. I said I needed a wife, not an employee. The smile on her face disappeared instantly. She didn't laugh. She simply lowered her eyes, turned around, and quietly started walking away. At that moment, I thought I had only scared off another job applicant. I had no idea I had just pushed away the strongest, kindest, and most remarkable person I would ever meet. Sometimes the biggest blessings arrive disguised as ordinary people standing at your front door, and sometimes we almost lose them because of one careless sentence. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Silent Hope Stories. Your support helps us continue sharing heartfelt stories that remind the world compassion still exists. My name is Daniel, and for nearly 12 years I had owned a small auto repair shop on the corner of a quiet neighborhood where everybody knew everybody else's business. The shop wasn't glamorous. It smelled of motor oil, fresh tires, and hard work. Every dollar I earned came from fixing broken engines and earning customers' trust one repair at a time. Business was steady, but life outside the garage was painfully empty. My wife had left 3 years earlier after deciding she wanted a different future. Since then, I buried myself in work because engines were easier to fix than broken hearts. Cars followed rules. People rarely did. The woman who walked away that morning was my neighbor, Emma. We had exchanged polite greetings over the fence for nearly a year, but I knew almost nothing about her except that she lived alone in the small blue house beside mine. She always seemed busy, always smiled politely, and never complained even when life clearly wasn't being kind to her. I later learned she had recently lost her office job after the company closed unexpectedly. Bills were piling up, and despite sending dozens of applications, no one was willing to hire her. As I watched her leave my shop that morning, guilt settled over me like a heavy cloud. My joke suddenly sounded cruel instead of funny. I ran outside before she reached the sidewalk and apologized sincerely. I admitted that I had spoken without thinking and asked her to come back. She hesitated for several seconds before quietly accepting. There was sadness in her eyes, but there was also quiet strength. I offered her the job immediately, warning her that auto repair wasn't exactly clean office work. She simply smiled and said honest work never frightened her. The first week surprised everyone. My mechanics quietly doubted she would last 2 days. By the end of the week, every one of them respected her. She learned faster than anyone expected. She organized invoices, greeted customers with genuine warmth, remembered names, and somehow managed to calm frustrated clients before arguments even started. Within a month, customer complaints almost disappeared. People returned because they trusted not only our repairs but also the kindness waiting behind the front desk. What impressed me most wasn't her efficiency. It was the way she noticed people others overlooked. She remembered elderly customers who needed rides home. She kept bottled water ready for delivery drivers during the hottest afternoons. She secretly paid for a struggling single mother's oil change without telling anyone. Every small act reminded me that strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it quietly changes lives without asking for recognition. As the weeks turned into months, my shop slowly transformed. Employees laughed more often. Customers stayed longer just to chat. The atmosphere became lighter, almost like family. I found myself looking forward to every morning, not because business was improving but because Emma somehow made ordinary days feel meaningful. Yet I kept reminding myself she was simply an employee and a neighbor. After everything I'd experienced, I refused to let my heart hope for anything more. One rainy evening, after closing the garage, I noticed her sitting alone inside her car. She wasn't starting the engine. She was simply staring through the windshield while tears quietly rolled down her face. I gently knocked on the window. She quickly wiped her eyes, pretending everything was fine. Eventually, she admitted the bank had given her a final warning. Without employment for months before joining the shop, her savings had disappeared. She was only weeks away from losing her home. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how she had rescued my business with her dedication while quietly fighting battles nobody knew existed. The next morning, I gathered the staff and announced unexpected bonuses thanks to our recent success. Emma received the same bonus as everyone else, along with a promotion to office manager. She tried to refuse, insisting she hadn't earned it yet, but I reminded her the shop wouldn't be where it was without her. Business continued growing faster than I ever imagined. Online reviews praised not only our repairs but also the honesty and compassion customers experienced every visit. Local newspapers even wrote a feature about our neighborhood garage where people felt respected instead of pressured into unnecessary repairs. More customers arrived every week. Ironically, the woman I had almost turned away became the reason our doors stayed busier than ever. Still, the greatest change wasn't financial. It happened inside me. I laughed again. I started eating dinner before midnight. I repaired my neglected home. I even planted flowers outside the shop because Emma once mentioned they made stressful days feel brighter. Without realizing it, she had repaired parts of my life that no mechanic could ever reach. Months later, our neighborhood organized a small charity event to raise money for struggling families. Watching Emma spend hours helping complete strangers reminded me of the first day she walked into my garage carrying nothing except hope and determination. I finally understood why losing her that morning would have been my greatest mistake. She had never needed someone to rescue her. She only needed someone willing to believe in her. One quiet evening after closing, I apologized once more for that careless joke from our first meeting. I admitted that behind the humor had been loneliness, fear, and years of hiding from real relationships. She smiled gently and confessed that although my words had hurt, my apology had shown the kind of man I truly was. Everyone says foolish things sometimes. What matters is whether we choose pride or humility afterward. Before we reach the ending, please leave a comment below and tell us, have you ever given someone a second chance, or received one that changed your life forever? We'd truly love to read your story. Not long afterward, I asked Emma to dinner, not as my employee, not as my neighbor, but as someone I deeply admired. There were no dramatic speeches or perfect movie moments. Just two people who had survived heartbreak, learned from their mistakes, and discovered that healing often begins with simple kindness. Months later, surrounded by friends, neighbors, and everyone from the auto shop, we promised to face life's roads together. Looking back, I often smile at the memory of the worst joke I ever made, because it eventually led me to the greatest blessing of my life. Sometimes love doesn't arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it walks into an ordinary garage carrying a worn resume and quietly teaches us that second chances can rebuild hearts just as surely as skilled hands rebuild broken engines. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your family and friends, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Silent Hope Stories. Your support helps us continue sharing emotional stories that inspire kindness, hope, and second chances. Never underestimate the power of one sincere apology, one unexpected opportunity, or one act of compassion. They may not only change someone else's life, they may completely transform your own.